So welcome to another Tokyo Revengers video guys. And yeah, today we'll review the second last chapter of the series that was released yesterday. As I've already talked about the leaks in my last video. So you guys must already have knowledge on what took place in chapter 276 beforehand. So basically, even after this fierce battle that took place, I think there is still a small possibility for a happy ending to this series. I'm not saying this for sure because there are 2 more chapters left. But we all know how desperate Takemichi is to save Mikey. So maybe he'll sacrifice something that will save Mikey. The final battle, we saw Mikey slashing through Takemichi with Sanzu Katana and killing him. It was the greatest plot twist ever. Who would have thought of something like this happening in the final chapters? But before his last moments, Takemichi managed to hold hands with Mikey and activate the trigger for his time travel. Yeah, Mikey became Takemichi's trigger for the second time in a row. The first one being in the Bonton arc. Everyone was devastated after his death, but on the other hand, Takemichi could successfully time leap to past from 2007 to 1998 with Mikey's help in the hope for a better future for everyone. He's determined to save everyone including Mikey, Baji, Emma and Raken. I can't believe Takemichi went to past second time in a row. I never thought something like this would happen, it's totally crazy. Now, the chapter begins as to what happened after this incident. I believe in this timeline, everyone is alive and Takemichi can save all of them. But we don't know what he'll do and how he will do it. Because ending of this chapter was so unexpected. However, before we talk about that, as usual guys, I would kindly appreciate it if you can drop a like on the video and consider subscribing to the channel. Let's go into the video now. The chapter starts with Mikey crying and asking Takemichi to wake up. And the next panel literally breaks our hearts. We see Mikey full of tears and he is admitting whatever he did. He did it to avoid the whole situation he put Takemichi into right now. And that's the exact reason why he kept pushing him away from him. But Takemichi never gave up. He kept on perusing Mikey, and now that resulted to this. We see a glimpse of all the Toman members crying. It's obvious that they're sad and mourning for Takemichi's death. Because not only was he their president, but also they all loved and cared for him deeply. We see Hakai, Angry, Pa, Senju, Inupi, and Mitsuya and Chifu, who were closest to Takemichi, are sobbing their hearts out. Chifu, as we all know, was Takemichi's best friend from the very beginning. He always had his back and fought various battles alongside him. He wanted to support his best friend and never left his side. When Takemichi tried to form the Toman second gen, Chifu was initially pissed off at him. Because he literally sacrificed a future where Draken was alive and came back to the past, which resulted in Draken's death. But still, he agreed to help him and became the vice president of the gang. But now, he was standing there helpless and he couldn't do anything to protect Takemichi from dying. He saw his partner dying in front of him. And thus it's obvious he is completely shattered. Even Mitsuya always stood for Takemichi. For instance, we saw during the Valhalla arc, when Takemichi was about to fall, it was Mitsuya who lent him a hand and protected him from the rival gang. However, Mikey heavy-heartedly tells him, if he died, then nothing would make any sense anymore. To be honest, I kinda missed this vulnerable side of Mikey. We have always seen him to be so strong and good at hiding his emotions. But now he's letting it all out. The invincible Mikey lies there being devastated and powerless at this moment. Mikey is seen begging Takemichi to wake up. He doesn't want Takemichi to leave him, as Takemichi had left Mikey before in the past too. And we know what happened after that. Eventually, everyone close to Mikey either left him or died. And this is the reason he is traumatized. Now Mikey is holding his hands and asking Takemichi to wake up. He feels guilty for what he did to his close friend. In the previous chapter, we saw Takemichi hold Mikey's hand before his last moments. But I think after that Takemichi died in battlefield. Because Takemichi time leaped to the past. Only after Mikey said, "Wake up for me." Also we can see that Mikey's tears dropping from his eyes onto his hands. Now, we see the trigger, and after this, Takemichi time leaps to the past And finally, we see Takemichi waking up. Thus, he successfully leapt through time. The next panel was so funny. We see a younger version of Takemichi wearing a dinosaur-printed night suit. And as soon as Takemichi woke up, he couldn't understand where he is right now. Also, I want to mention this, so many people wanted to see Takemichi's past. Because we know every character's backstory, except protagonist of the series. So many of you asked about his parents. But Ken Wakui-sensei once again decided not to reveal his mother's face. I wonder if he will reveal this in the upcoming character books. However, Takemichi sees the calendar and he realizes it's 10th September 1998. This is so unexpected. Because everything bad that happened, it took place after 1999, like Shinichiro's death and Mikey's death in the original timeline. Takemichi tries to recall what happened that caused him to time leap. And he remembers Mikey stabbed him. And that's why he time traveled back to his first grade year. He keeps wondering how he could time leap when must have died due to the injury. He's confused as to whether it's a flashback before his death or not. But realized soon that he's not daydreaming, he really time leapt to the past. He takes a chance and thinks if it is a reality, then Mikey should also be present in this timeline. And as usual, we see he's too determined to check if Mikey is okay or not. He immediately rushes off to Mikey's house and is seen running through the streets. After this, we see someone is calling him from behind. That person tells him he doesn't recognize Takemichi and asks what he's doing in front of Mikey's house. And immediately jumps into a fight with him. Takemichi is dumbfounded after seeing Baji. He couldn't believe his eyes. I already mentioned in my last video the uncanny resemblance between the first interaction between Takemichi and Baji in the second timeline shown in the anime. And in this current timeline, in both of them Baji punched Takemichi into a pulp upon their first meeting. Baji gets pissed off by Takemichi's expression and punches him. Takemichi was bewildered after he woke up and now he literally got punched by Baji. He's so confused as to what's going on around him. We see Emma scolding Baji for randomly fighting in front of people's houses. Then enters Shinichiro into the scene. He sighs, saying what's wrong with Baji since the morning. And also asks Sanzu why he didn't stop Baji even though he was present with him. Here we again see Shinichiro as usual being the best big brother to Emma, Baji and Sanzu. We've seen Baji's character change in the original timeline, but in every timeline, Shinichiro is as loving to his siblings as ever. To mention one more thing, Shinichiro did not meet any time leaper in this timeline. And thus he doesn't have any time leaping powers too. He's just a guy who works at a bike shop. Sanzu immediately dismissed the whole nuisance and asked the whereabouts of Mikey. Even Sanzu's personality didn't change much in any timelines. All timelines, he has shown concern for Mikey. On the other hand, Takemichi is getting a shock after another. First of all, he sees Shinichiro for the first time in his life. And then he sees a young Sanzu. Even though he had met Shinichiro when he was young in some other timeline. He clearly didn't remember him as Mikey's elder brother. But now, he's seeing them all in front of his eyes. I can understand what our main character is going through. It's so hilarious. Everyone surrounding him asks him to introduce himself. Takemichi was taken aback after knowing that these people don't recognize him. The reason being he was in the first grade and he didn't meet any of them before that as his first interaction with Mikey. And his gang happened when he was a middle schooler. Mikey steps into the scene and seeing him Takemichi tears up. Then Mikey asks, "Who are you?" Takemichi realizes Mikey must have forgotten him. And that's why he doesn't recognize him. But before Takemichi could tell his name, Mikey exclaims, "Takemichi" in his usual accent. Well, Takemichi is overwhelmed. He never thought Mikey would remember him. Initially, maybe Mikey couldn't recognize him. But something have triggered his memory and he gained his memories from the future. And then he remembered everything. According to Naruto. Not only does the time traveler have memories of the past timeline, even his trigger has the same. As Mikey acted as Takemichi's trigger in the battlefield time leap. So according to that theory, even Mikey should remember whatever happened to him in the final arc. But there are some of you who say Mikey was not only the trigger, but he also time-leapt along with Takemichi. I don't know how that is possible. If you guys have any idea about it, then comment it down below. We can discuss it over. So anyway, if you guys like this video, hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe. And good luck to all.